Announcing the commencement of the first purge.
I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags, and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Just remember all the good the purge does.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It is 7, I guess 7/7. I thought it was 7/8 in my last video. Must have been after midnight I did my first video. Oh well. Alright. We are all slaves to corporate profits. There's an article here at the Daily Sheeple I'm going to discuss with you. And we'll make some parallels, chit-chat, shoot the shit, and maybe gain a higher level of cognitive ability in doing so. I'm also going to discuss some comments that I just got here on my YouTube video I uploaded about an hour or two ago, maybe. But, oh, I'm sorry, we are all hostages of corporate profits. And believe me when I tell you how true that really is. And by the way, every single human being on this planet has been sold and bought by somebody. You are all property of the state. You are all financial instruments to be used as collateral for the tremendous debt that has been amassed. Let me tell you who this was written by right quick. It was written by Charles Hugh Smith of Two Minds. We're in the end game of financialization and globalization, and it won't be pretty for all the hostages of corporate profits. Though you won't read about it in the mainstream corporate media, the nation is now hostage to outsized corporate profits. The economy and society at large are now totally dependent on soaring corporate profits and the speculative bubbles they fuel, and this renders us all hostages. Make a move to limit corporate profits or speculative bubbles, and our pension fund gets a bullet in the head. That is in quotes. People will say that as a justification to keep feeding the monster. Did you know that your government is a corporation? Did you know that? Did you know that it incorporated I think it was right along with the Federal Reserve Act, I think. I'll have to do a little more digging into that one, but I think that's correct. And as soon as it became a corporation, and I've said this many, many times, and people want to argue with me about this point, but there's no argument. Okay? You can't make a rational argument against what I'm going to say here. Your government is a corporation. It has been incorporated, and as such, it does not fall under the authority of the Constitution. You see, there's constitutional law, right? And to a degree, natural law. And then you have business, maritime law, Uniform Commercial Code. And this is the conditions in which you exist now. Again, this is not up for debate. It's a matter of fact. The Constitution no longer applies. It no longer has any rational place in any rational argument. Not just pension funds, of course. Tax revenues will also be taken out and shot, as most of the state and federal income taxes are paid by high earners and those skimming capital gains from stock options and stock-based compensation packages. Well, they're not really paying that much tax revenue. As a matter of fact, they do their fucking best to avoid paying tax revenue. No, the vast majority of the taxes is paid by the backs of the American people. And let's not forget those in prison. Political and financial authorities have caved into the implicit threat lest their share of the corporate swag be tossed in the ditch. To appease public anger, various bureaucratic thickets have been created, but as you can easily see, corporate profits have not been affected. The global downturn resulting from China's tightening of credit in 2016 caused a remarkably underreported panic in central banks, which pulled out all the stops to keep corporate profits high. Subsidies, tax breaks, and exclusions keep the profits flowing, not just to corporate managers and owners, but politicals, lobbyists, and the entire food chain that serves the top of the wealth power pyramid in America. And it's not just America, it's England, it's France, it's Germany, it's all of them. You are owned by these people. And somehow it is or has been rendered acceptable. Acceptable to be owned. This from a nation who prides themselves on freeing the slaves. You know I'm right. You know I'm right. Subsidies, tax breaks, and exclusions keep the profits flowing, not just to corporate managers and owners, but, oh, I already said this, I'll say it again, but politicals, lobbyists, and the entire food chain that serves the top wealth power pyramid in America. Notice the difference between normal and abnormal profits. The enormous speculative boom of the dot-com era doubled corporate profits in a mere decade. But those gains pale compared to the tripling of profits since the 2002 downturn. And let us not forget all the profits gained from the events of 9/11. After the dot-com bubble burst, we belatedly realized the economy had become dependent on bubbles for its growth. The panicky response of central banks revealed the depth of the dependence, and this response inflated a bubble that far surpassed the dot-com excesses. Are you seeing this here, people? Well, let me tell you, they're robbing you of your labor. They're robbing you of your life. They're robbing your children and grandchildren of their labor and their life, and they're not even in the labor market, and some of them aren't even born. Corporate profits have ascended through 3 phases characterized by advancing financialization and globalization. A blow-off top will be followed by collapse. Phase 3 of financialization, diminished returns. Phase 2 of financialization, the economy becomes dependent on corporate profits for speculative gains. And of course, phase 1 of financialization. The first phase of the Great Moderation and global savings glut fueled the dot-com bubble. Once that bubble popped in 2001, the Fed and other central banks panicked. Their response, lowering interest rates, unleashing unlimited credit, liquidity, and so on, inflated by a monumental bubble that was further boosted by China's admission into the WTO and the full finalization, globalization of or financialization / globalization of the U.S. economy. Now, let me stop right there for a moment. It wasn't long after China joined the WTO that Flint, Michigan, and Detroit, and so many others, Saginaw, places in Ohio, places all around this country, lost their jobs, their factories. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. I don't think it was. Or is. When this bubble predictably popped, the central banks really panicked. If we strip away the hype and propaganda, we are left with a troubling reality. There is no engine of growth other than speculative bubbles based on cheap credit and soaring corporate profits. We are now drifting through the troubled waters of the third phase, the phase of diminishing returns and stagnation. The tricks of increasing liquidity to fund stock buybacks and central bank purchases of assets are no longer goosing profits or growth. We are in the endgame of financialization and globalization, and it won't be pretty for all the hostages of corporate profits. And let me take a moment to tell you that we're not the only hostages of corporate profits. The people in prison all across this country, a lot of which deserve to be locked away, if not killed altogether, but the vast majority of them do not. I venture to say that the people who deserve to be there are oftentimes not, and those who do not deserve to be there are often the ones who are. Giving Amazon and all the rest more tax breaks won't fix what's broken, and neither will lavishing subsidies or taxpayer giveaways on global corporations that maintain the useful illusion of being based in America. Economies dependent on bubbles for their survival self-destruct. And we, people, are definitely, undoubtedly, 100% self-destructing. But, you know, as long as you can watch all those stupid-ass shows on TV, you know, let's see, let me think of one here real quick. Airplane Repo Man, The Kardashians, Hip-Hop, what is it, Love Affairs, or some shit like that. As long as this garbage is available, it's all okay, right? Just let each of these corporations, including your corporate government, rip you off. Day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. Let's just keep feeding these monsters until they become so big that the people no longer have any power. The last bit of power we have, they have been working tirelessly on taking. Our Second Amendment. Our right as human beings, not Americans, as human beings, to defend ourselves. They're trying to diminish that as a privilege, and it's not a privilege, it is an absolute necessity. I need your help, people. I need your help. Please share my content. Please give me a thumbs up. And if you feel that I am a deserving individual, please click my PayPal link. I think I might be a little bit deserving, because after all, I'm the only one, as far as I can tell, telling you the truth of the matter. And you know I'm right. You know I'm right. You know, there's occasionally I'm incorrect about something, but overall I'm right. And you know I am. You know I'm more right than the Jones media empire or the InfoWars media empire. And by the way, I know if Paul Joseph Watson saw this video of me bashing InfoWars and himself slightly, more or less calling into question their sincerity. But if they were to see this video, I'm sure Paul Joseph Watson and his gay-ass British accent would have all kinds of condescending, smart-ass things to say. But you know what? Fuck both of them, because they are Zionist shills. Yep. I'm sorry I don't have any condescending, sarcastic, degrading things to say about them, but I guess I'm on some other level where I don't need to resort to such tactics. Their silence on certain issues is enough to show that, again, I'm right. You know I'm right. You know the guy from Rampage, for the most part, is right. You know my intros, that guy. You know he's right. For the most part. You know I'm right. Again, for the most part. Now, I mentioned in my last video at the beginning that I'd been up for 21 hours a day for the last week due to my kidnapping and imprisonment in my local county jail. My family has suffered, again, tremendous loss over the same event that we lost everything over almost 2 years ago. $1,000 more than, if you want to include the job that I lost, just started 3 weeks ago. Do you know how fucking hard it was to find that shitty little job? Now what am I going to do? Because telling you guys the truth, I'll be honest with you, it hasn't really paid off very well. I mean, yes, I've had some decent donations from very decent people. I have. I so much appreciate Wolfgang Martin and the others, the people who sent me money while I was in jail the last time. I do. But man, I'm in a real bind. In a real bind, so after tonight, every single night, I'm going to do a 2-hour live stream. I'm going to up my game. That way, I will be worthy of more subscribers. That way, I will be worthy of your financial support. I'm trying really hard, people, not to be a criminal. I really am. But my hands are being more and more bound with each passing event. And I don't want to resort to these things. I want to talk to you. I don't want to miss any more time with you. I don't want to miss any more time with my children. It may sound like I do my videos out of hatred, but actually I do them out of love. I do them out of love for freedom. I do them out of love of you. I do them out of love of my children. Yes, I hate the state. I really do. But look at the evil shit the state does to people each and every day. This is why I have said and continue to say, kill the state, live free. Kill the state before the state kills you.